I was able to become a BIM coordinator within 1 year of working in the industry with no prior coordination or management experience. Now I run a BIM training company that helps architects, engineers, and draftspeople make the exact same transition that I've made, but quicker, right? So in this video, what I want to do is reveal to you the counterintuitive three-phase system that I actually walk all my clients and everyone in my program through in order to make them transition from draftspeople and BIM modelers into BIM coordinators and actually live a life that is fulfilling and a career that's super fulfilling. And it's a very counterintuitive three-phase system. And I can guarantee you that phase 1 and phase 3 are the two phases that no one ever understands. And this is what keeps people stuck most of the time, 98% of the time. And when you think of transitioning, you're probably thinking phase 2, and that's the only thing that you understand. So just by understanding these 3 phases and being able to implement it, you'll have a really good understanding about how to actually get there. And just so you know, I'm actually going to be going through this whole roadmap over here. I've even created this BIM Accelerator roadmap that goes through every single one of these phases. And I'm going to go through phase A, phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, which is the exact same roadmap, phase A being the foundational phase, which we'll get to in a second. But if you can implement all this, I even show you the portfolio, how it's meant to look like, right? The CV, what we have to learn, how to position yourself as an expert in the industry. If you can go through this whole process with me on this video, understand and actually take action and apply it, I have no doubt that you'll be able to get to the exact same position as all of my clients without even talking to me, right? So this is also the exact same roadmap that we're going to be going through. So by the end of it, I'll give you access to this. You can view this and you can actually go through this and start ticking off each one of these processes to actually get to the outcome. So just so you know, my name's Hesh, right? I run a BIM training company. I work as a BIM coordinator currently. But just so you know about the whole program, so you have a lens in which to see this video and think and have context, I'm going to give you a few examples of of my clients that have gotten success and that have posted on my private school community. So I have this private community where I have all my courses, and I also have every single person that I work with one-on-one. This is my exclusive private community, and my clients actually post here whenever they get a job. So I actually, in the last couple of months, these are some things that have happened in our school community. I helped Arushi transition from architecture to landing her first BIM coordination role in London with no prior experience, right? You can read this if you want to, but she pretty much went from architecture, no experience as a coordinator. She learned BIM coordination with this exact same framework that I'm going to reveal to you here, right? And this is actually her portfolio that I'm showing you here, and she was actually able to get a BIM coordinator role in London, right? I helped Vic from Australia transition from architectural documentation of only residential projects to architectural BIM modeling and design in a company that focuses on large-scale commercial projects. So he was feeling super stagnant and he hated and disliked his job. I actually have a video on my YouTube of me having a chat with him and going through the whole process and how we found everything. But he posted this the other day on the school group saying that he got an architectural role as a BIM in the BIM industry, and he's really passionate and super excited to get started, right? I helped Jana, who had no prior experience in Europe, land her first role in the Netherlands as a BIM architect coordination. It's a dual role. It's super hands-on in a company where she'll be exposed to a lot of coordination and growth, site coordination. She gets to go on site, coordinate, understand. She'll be working really closely with the higher-ups in the company. So she's super excited about that as well, and she posted this on our school group the other day, right? These are people that have had a few years of experience in the industry and felt really stagnant. But I also helped Eureka get her first role, right? I helped Eureka in Australia go from a complete graduate of architecture, like she hadn't even worked, right? She was coming out of uni, zero experience in the industry, to land her first role in a construction company in the digital construction BIM team. So she'll be working with a lot of high-end infrastructure projects, and she wrote here that her roles include managing project models, ensuring quality compliance, collaborating with construction teams. It's all the BIM coordination, BIM management stuff that she's been doing, right? And she's getting exposed to. So all of these people are the people that have been in my community recently and over the last couple of months have incredible success using the exact same framework and formula that I'm actually about to reveal to you in this video, right? And so the common theme with myself and all of the examples that I mentioned is that they went from being super boring, unpassionate, unmotivating roles where they felt like they had no room for growth to a life where they're not only passionate about the role, but they also are in a role where they're learning so much every day. It feels like a job, right? It feels less like a job, more like a fun learning experience or like a project that they're working on. It feels like you're back in uni working on a project rather than you're getting paid to do this monotonous, mundane thing over and over again. And you work for a majority of your time you're alive, and you have to feel like you enjoy what you do, right? You also have to feel like you're learning new things every single day and constantly leveling up. If you don't have these two things, then you start to really dislike living, and you start to really dislike going to work, and like that is what you do for a majority of the day, right? And this all happened when with every single one of my clients, we increased the leverage and changed the opportunity vehicle of their career, which is what I call the BIM Blueprint. And that's what I'll be sharing in this video. So before I even get into that process about the BIM Blueprint, let me explain to you how and why I even got there, because I'm just a brown guy chatting at a camera. So if you've never met me, I want to give you a little bit of like a explanation, like a background of like why I even want to do this, why I did this, why it works so effectively, and what my drive is and what my passion about this is, right? So, and why I'm so heavily invested in like BIM. Like, why is it like no one else is so heavily invested as I am screaming to a camera talking about all this stuff, right? So I said before that I became BIM coordinator within 1 year in the industry with no prior experience with coordination management. But you're probably wondering, like, why did I have the drive and the urgency to make such a drastic decision in my career? And why is it like the best time to do that? So the reason for this is super early on when I was in uni, I actually had the opportunity to work as an intern in a really nice company. I was super excited for this opportunity, and I go there and I work for like a month, and I realized after working for like those few weeks to around a month that the people with the most excitement for their jobs and actually tolerated it were the managers and decision makers who weren't stuck in the day-to-day mundane activities. And I saw this so clearly, like the people that were the managers, people that were telling other people what to do, the people that were making decisions thinking. The knowledge workers, right? The genuine knowledge workers were the people that were feeling like passionate about their jobs, and they were sticking and had worked for like 10, 15 years, right? But then the people that were doing the same boring tasks every single day, they were the people that were coming in and out of the company, trying to find better companies, having all these career crises. And some of these people were 30, 31, 32, 5 to 7 years of experience they've had in the industry, but they feel like they're not happy with what they're doing. And that's a very long time to be in a career where you're feeling like, I'm getting stuck, I'm feeling stagnant, I'm not happy with what I'm doing, right? Especially if it's for what you do for 1/3 of the day, right? And you're sleeping for the other third. So it's what you do for the majority of your day. And I remember even talking to some of the employees that had worked at the company for 10 plus years, and they felt like they were stuck in their career, right? But they kept saying that it was like a means to an end, and it looked like they had their life drained out of them. So I realized that work was not what I expected it to be. And this was when I was an intern. I wasn't even working back then, right? So because the thing is, like, when you're studying in university, there's a very natural progression for our whole life from 1 year to the next, where you're learning and building on previous foundations. So it feels really good when you learn more complex concepts in the third year compared to the really basic concepts you learn in the first year, right? You learn the first year concept, you go into second year uni, you go into third year uni, like you learn and it builds on top of each other. So you feel a natural feeling of progression and enjoyment and satisfaction that you're actually learning. Even though it might be stressful, you don't ever feel like you're stagnant. No one has ever felt like that in uni, right? But somewhere along the line, after you start working in the real world, if you're not careful about it, you realize that no one is actually going to come and help you, and it would feel the same. If you don't do anything about it, it starts to feel the same as if you repeated the second year of uni for 5 years. Like you went first year, second year, second year, second year, second year, second year, and you start to realize, why am I doing the second year over and over again? Or like first year, and you get to third year, third year, third year, third year, third year, third year, and you're doing the third year of uni every single year. Like imagine you were in school and you got held back at year 11 for 6 years or 7 years. That's what a lot of people in their careers are starting to feel like. And that's why a lot of people that come on calls with me, join my program, that's what they feel like. They feel like they've been held back at the same grade in school or uni for 6 or 7 years consecutively. And they realize that no one is coming to save them, because there is no natural progression when you start working for you to progress the same way you did in school and at uni, right? And this is like a really big realization that a lot of people have. And I remember sitting there and thinking to myself, okay, if I don't have a plan for myself, I'm going to be a part of someone else's plan. And that's like the main realization that I realized before I even started working full time when I was in uni. So after I finished uni, I came into the industry hot with like, I had the mindset, I didn't want to feel like I was ever stuck or stagnant, because I saw what it did to all these people, right? And so I saw so many people like hated their work. And in my mind, I was thinking, how can I live a life where I hate the work most of the day is working? I hate the idea of like living for the weekend, because I always like to progress and learn and grow, because that's what I was doing most of my life. But I felt like when people started to work, their life would get drained out of them and something would happen to me, and I would have no option but to live for the weekend, like every single other person, right? So when I was young, I had all this energy, right? When I was getting into industry, I don't even care about money. Like, how do I get into a role that I don't dislike? And how do I prevent myself from being stagnant for like 5 to 7 years without realizing? That's what I was trying to like think about. So straight away, when I got into the industry, when I was like a BIM modeler, when I was doing drafting, I quickly realized that this was not something that I would like to do day in, day out. I would maybe learn from it for like a year or two maybe, but then I would feel really not passionate about it, and I would never be able to continue that for 10 to 15 years. And I feel like a lot of people did, and those, like when I speak to those people, those are the people that feel like they need motivation to work, they don't want to work, they feel like every day is the same, they want to quit their job. All these things happen to those types of people. So I felt like I would be held back at the same grade over and over again if that happened to me. So I always considered myself to be someone who's super goal-oriented. I felt like if I was doing the same thing for over more than 6 months or a year, I would get very unsatisfied and unhappy. So I understood specific people became successful in their careers if they were constantly learning and studying, so that when the opportunity arose, they were able to take it and grow with it, right? Not someone that was just doing the task over and over again. They do the task but learn the next skill set, so that when the opportunity naturally arises, it's very low barrier of entry for them to then do that task, right? And then they get more opportunities because your boss gives it to you, the company gives it to you, you can go and take it, you can help other people. That's the type of person that I saw grow really quickly. And not get stagnant. So then my new obsession became learning the next skill set, which I saw to be BIM coordination, BIM management, because I saw a huge trend in the industry. I still see a huge trend in the industry with BIM coordination, BIM management, how AI is coming and it's changing the whole landscape. I saw something by Bill Gates the other day saying that lawyers and accountants will probably be made redundant. That profession won't exist by the time we're the 2030. So imagine for those two like really key strategic jobs, imagine like engineering and architecture, like who knows, like will creative work be taken away from us? Like will the only people that will survive this transition or this revolution are the people that understand how to use AI, how to use technology to their advantage. So that's like what I saw. And long story short, right, I took a huge pay cut where I could have been making $40,000 to $50,000 extra, but I gave that up just so I could sit next to, I worked in a company where I sat next to the BIM manager, right? And I sat next to him for like 8 hours a day and I learned everything. It was a smaller company. And I learned everything that he had learned. He'd been working for like 10 years in the industry. I learned everything that he had learned, right? So quickly because I was working next to him, and they were happy to teach me because they were getting a really good deal because I was super cheap, because I came in not thinking like, oh, they're undervaluing me, I have a degree, I'm not going to be able to pay my rent. I didn't think any of that stuff. I just wanted to get a job and learn BIM coordination, learn BIM management as quick as possible so that I had the skill set, right? After that, I'll worry about growing in my career and doing all these other things. Let me get the skill set first. So that's like the first thing that I ever did. So I sat there for like a year learning, or like 6 months actually, learning all this stuff about BIM coordination, BIM management. I understood how to speak, right? How to run coordination meetings, all the tools with BIM coordination, all the technical tool, like all the technical skills, all the MEP fundamentals. I understood everything. And then after like 6 months, I pretty much walked away with like 10 years of industry experience because everything was so compressed, and through osmosis, I was able to grow really quickly. And so fast forward, like within 1 year, like within 6 months after that, like so within like a year of me working, I was able to transition slowly into BIM coordination. I say slowly, but it's not even slowly, right? So I was able to make that transition, and that's sort of like my mindset and like the whole thing behind how that even happened and why I even wanted to do that. But I saw no other option, but that was my only option because I wanted to move into BIM coordination and BIM management because I saw that to be the only opportunity where you can learn technology and harness it to your advantage. No one else is using it, so you have a competitive edge. And you're also not doing the same monotonous, mundane thing every single day. You're doing something that you feel passionate about and you can learn from your job rather than doing your job for money, right? That was my approach. And so what I learned when I was sitting next to that BIM manager was not the theory. I was learning the practical hands-on approach to BIM coordination and BIM management. And I understand that not many other people will get the similar opportunity in their career the same way that I was able to learn, which is the reason why I was so motivated to create my YouTube channel, right? And share all my knowledge. And because when I was trying to learn all this stuff, I wasn't actually able to find a channel that had practical in-depth guides about BIM coordination, BIM management. Like you'd have people showing you how to use Navisworks, but you wouldn't have like the whole like ins and outs of how to think, how to coordinate, how to run meetings, like all these different intricate things that has to come together in order for you to feel confident to actually get the job. There's one thing to know a technical skill, but you need to actually feel like you know everything about BIM coordination. Otherwise, you're never going to even be able to shift your identity to be able to apply for a job. So if you have no experience, how are you going to even get the job, right? And so I know that I have a lot to learn still, but this is sort of where I'm at. And in my over the last year or two, I've been helping other people do the exact same thing. Those are the examples that I gave in the last couple of months. People in my program, they've actually been able to make progress way quicker than I have, because I've just condensed everything which I've learned into a program, into like a whole step-by-step formula. All you have to do is just close your eyes, stop thinking, do the exact same things. By the end of 3 months, you'll have a perfect portfolio and you have a perfect CV that you can then position yourself as a really skilled individual. But you have to be like a really good fit, and you have to have a bunch of criteria met. So anyway, that is like the whole process behind like what has happened and like my story and everything, right? So here's the problem. So the thing is, before I reveal to you that step-by-step framework that I walk you through, we need to understand like why that step-by-step framework even works. Because the thing is, if you don't have a narrowly defined problem, and you have such a broadly defined problem, you're never going to be able to solve it. And so this is what happens to a lot of people, is they come to me and they tell me that they feel stuck, or like they hit a ceiling, or they have these specific words and they have this specific idea, but it took them so long to even like understand or like even comprehend like what they're actually feeling and where they want to get to. But the thing is, they've never really sat down and thought about it. You've probably never like sat down and thought about it for like an hour even. Like, okay, what do I want out of my career? What do I want out of life? What do I not want to feel at work? What do I want to feel at work? What constitutes something that I consider a successful career? What constitutes something that I consider an unsuccessful career? Is it about the position that I'm at, or is it about the things which I do on a day-to-day basis? Can I live a successful career tomorrow as long as I'm just learning every day? Or does the success come in 20 years when I get to the director position of a company? Like, have you ever thought about, and it's different for everyone, but you need to sit down and narrowly define your problem, because once you narrowly define your problem, you can find your outcome and you can find your solution, right? And so this is your problem. Like, if this is not your problem, this is probably not the video for you. But if you're anyone like me or anyone that I've worked with in the past, this is the problem and this is what you want, right? So the three main issues that you have are stagnation, lack of passion, and lacking opportunity. And if you think to your career right now and you're thinking, okay, I want to grow really quickly, I don't like what I'm doing, and no one at work is helping me to get to the next stage. That are these three things: stagnation, lack of passion, lacking opportunity. And what you want is you want to grow quickly. You want to get to the next level. You want the opposites of what I just said. You want the learning opportunity. You want someone to trust you enough to give you the opportunity to learn, because you know that if you put your mind to it, you can do it. You just haven't been given the opportunity. You want ultimate job security. You don't want to feel like you're working a job, right? You're not even doing a business, but you feel like you have to, like, one of the benefits of working a job is that you should have job security, right? Like, if you're working, it should feel it should feel like you're learning, and it should feel like you're actually having the job security and you're not going to lose it. You shouldn't have to go to work every single day feeling like, what are the new things that I have to learn? Will I lose my job? Will I get made redundant? But if you don't, that's a feeling, right? And you have to feel confident so you don't feel that like lack of job security. And so these are the three things that you want as well. You want fast growth and progression, learning opportunity, and ultimate job security. And so you've probably been doing the same job for years, right? You're starting to feel stuck in your career, feels like you've hit a ceiling, and you can't see a way to grow past drafting and get into management, because all you do is drafting every single day, and you're sort of measured on your productivity with drafting. So how do you learn the next phase if there's already someone that's doing like the management and coordination stuff in your company? There's also like a lack of passion. Like, you're way less passionate compared to when you started, right? You're not learning anything new anymore because you've outgrown your position. Right, at the start, maybe the first 3 years of like doing the modeling stuff, you probably learned so many things about the workflows, about the companies, the big processes, learned a lot about Revit. But now it's coming to a position where like the training wheels are no longer needed. You can chuck the training wheels out, but you can't even get rid of the training wheels now, because you need them to go, because everyone else is forcing those training wheels on you. That's the problem, right? You're not learning anything new because you've outgrown your position. And you can't learn to ride a bike properly if you still have training wheels. You can't learn balance if you have training wheels. You can only learn speed, right? So, but there's no way for you to get your training wheels out. And so because of that, you feel like you've outgrown your position, but your opportunity is still holding you back, right? So you're being held back and you're lacking opportunity. You feel like the AI revolution can pose threats to those who are not prepared with the correct skill set. You always have the desire to start something of your own, but but you realize that you will not learn the skills you need going down the current path you're in. Like a lot of people that work with me say they want to start their own business, but in order for them to start their own business 5, 6, 7 years down the track, they need to learn all the skills in the BIM industry. Like they need to learn architecture, like the stuff that they've been doing, but they need to learn BIM coordination as well, so that later on they actually know who to hire, how to hire, or they can wear all the hats when they're starting off. But if they don't have all the skill sets, when you're working in the industry, the advantage is you can actually acquire all these skill sets. Because when you stop working in the industry and you start to like want to do your own business or something later on, you can't even wear, like you can't take that stuff anymore from the industry because you're not working there. So because of that, you have lacking opportunity. So you feel like you need to like understand all of that stuff, right? And these are the things you want. You want fast growth and progression. You want to feel confident about your career and the promotions. And you want it to feel somewhat guaranteed, right? You want it to feel like, oh, it's going to come. All I have to do is do these specific actions. You don't want to do specific actions and then for it to not come. That's not ideal. You don't want to feel like you have to constantly move from company to company just to feel like you're valued. Because when you move from company to company, so many things change. Like your whole work environment changes, how much you have to commute changes, right? How many hours you have to work changes. Like the people you have to work with change. You don't know if you're going to be in a part of a bad team or a good team. So many different variables. You don't want to feel like you have to move just to be able to get a promotion, right? Each day you want to feel like you're learning something new, similar to when you started in your career. And you want to feel like you're maximizing your potential in your career since you're learning so much rather than being held back. And you want to feel like you have the skill set that's highly valuable and needed in the industry no matter what country you go to, right? Even if you want to work from home and work virtually, you should be able to get a job that is in high demand. And you want to feel like you're irreplaceable in your current role, so you have a sense of worth within the company you work for. And if you don't feel any of these things right now, and the reason you think that is because you're working and in stagnation because of the role that you're in. And you're correct. Like the role that you're in is currently causing you stagnation, lack of passion, lacking opportunity. And the only way out of that and to get these things is by transitioning into BIM coordination. It's the easiest way to get into that phase if you want these specific things, right? You also want to maximize your skill set, right? You want to feel confident about your career progression based on the skills you have, and you want to be able to learn all the skills necessary so you have the highest chance of success when you start your own company. And understanding how to eliminate these problems and move towards these solutions is exactly what will happen when you move into BIM coordination and management, right? And you need to understand sort of the career happiness system, because once you see it like this is the reason that you'll be able to grow and take this leap and do this so effectively, right? So I'm going to show this to you in context, because if I tell you the roadmap, then honestly, it's not going to really make sense. You're not going to do it. The roadmap is there, but if you just watch this is the most important part of the whole video. I promise you. If you understand this concept, then you will actually take action on the roadmap. If you don't understand this career happiness system, because most of it is like mental, like your mind, how you see things, right? If you don't understand this, then there's no way that you're going to take action. And every single one of my clients has gotten results because they understand this is the exact same way that they think, and they implement the system that I tell them, right? So I'm going to show this to you in context because you need to understand this, and you need to understand the philosophy about this. And the reason it's so important is it's because that's the difference between someone that actually achieves quick growth and someone that doesn't achieve. And the reason, okay, scratch that. The difference between someone that achieves quick growth and someone that doesn't achieve quick growth is their dedication, persistence, and perseverance. And these traits only endure if you have an underlying motivation or reason as to why you really want this. And the reason I'm saying this is because I'll ask you a question, right? Let me ask you a question. If someone else asked me ages ago, but I'll sort of change this to make this relevant to this video so that you understand what I'm trying to tell you. I want you to tell me what the chances are of you becoming a BIM manager or BIM coordinator within the next year of your career, either in your current company or in another company. Okay, so think of a number, right? So a number probably popped into your head, and you might give me a number like 10, 20, 50%, 60, 70, depending on your confidence level, right? But what if I ask you, what are the chances you become a manager, BIM coordinator this year in your career, given that if you do not do this, you will never be able to work a day in your life ever again, and you will never be able to make money and support yourself and your family ever again? Okay? What happens now? Now all of a sudden you tell me that 100%, like you're going to say 100%. Everyone says 100%. I say 100%. But because you're going to think like I will make that work. Like if that is the case, then I will become a BIM coordinator. Like that is what you think, right? In both those scenarios, nothing actually changed. Nothing. It was like 5 seconds between the time I asked the first second and the first question and the second question, right? The only thing that changed is the underlying motivation or the reason why it's so important. And that's what leads you to consistently take action and start to think, how am I actually going to change my current situation? And it's crazy how the question of how can I change my current situation? How do I do it? Okay, how will I become a BIM coordinator? What will I learn? That action step, that roadmap, that didn't even pop up into your head when I asked you initially that first question. What are the chances of you becoming a BIM coordinator? But if I give you a reason or a consequence of you not becoming a BIM coordinator, and I tell you, and I make you say 100%, now as you say 100%, you start to justify and find the roadmap in your mind. Okay, maybe, okay, you probably think, okay, 100% I'll become BIM coordinator. I'm just going to you're going to contact me, you're going to ask me exactly how to do it, you're going to learn all the skills, you're going to apply for the jobs, and you're going to keep applying until you, like, day in, day out, not sleep until you get a BIM coordinator role. Okay, that is the roadmap, right? But then that idea didn't even come to your head. You didn't even think about that until I put that pressure or put your back against the wall, right? And so all this means is that we have the capacity to change our lives, but we sometimes forget that life is happening for us and not to us, right? And so once you understand life is happening for you and not to you, this is when you start to think about what you genuinely want out of life. When you start to truly want something, you can truly go and get it. That's what you start to think then, right? So if you want to become a project manager, you can get it. It's just a bunch of skills you got to learn and ask a bunch of people and ask for the opportunity, and then you can do project management work and you can become a project manager. If you want to become a director of a company, okay, first, what's the next step? BIM coordinator, BIM manager, probably project manager, understand the whole business. Once you understand the whole business, understand how to get clients to that business that you work for, right? The company you work for. Okay, if you understand how to get clients to the company you work for, you understand the intricate details about every single process in the whole company because you worked as a drafter, BIM coordinator, BIM manager, a project manager, then obviously you would be qualified enough and have enough skills to become a director, okay? So why don't you just learn all these things? And then the director becomes a natural consequence of you learning all these things, right? So this is how all my clients think. And this is how I think, and this is why they're able to transform and make this transition so quickly. For example, Arushi. She was able to make this transition because that is the only way that she thought. And I actually have a video, my most recent video, or maybe 2 videos ago, I actually interview her going through the whole process. It's like a 20-minute long video if you want to watch it. It doesn't take long. But it's me talking to her about her journey from going from architecture to BIM coordinator. And she actually, her mindset changed and the way she sees her career changed. And that's why what I'm like, this is her roadmap. This is what I built for her specifically. This is what she went through, right? This is what she went through. And the only reason that she was able to go through this and trust this whole process is because she understood it so logically, because she understood the consequence of not doing it. And so once you see a career like this, it's very hard for you to stay stagnant. And the only option is for you to take a path that allows you to grow quickly. And so there's 2 parts. There's the slow lane career path, and then there's the fast lane career path. And so this is what you're probably doing right now. And this is what you feel like if you're doing drafting every single day, right? Work feels like work. We have this idea about work-life balance, right? Work-life balance means that there has to be a difference between work and life. That means one is good, one is bad, because you're trying to balance 2 opposing forces. That's the whole definition of balance. Balance means one is one specific thing, the other is another specific thing, which is the opposite. So therefore, we're trying to balance these 2 things, right? That concept only comes into play when you hate what you're doing. Imagine I gave you so much money and all you had to do was just nothing in your life, right? You would probably start to do something. That something would still be considered work. Whether that means you're going to go drive a car in a Formula 1 track for the rest of your life, or whether that means you're going to start painting, doesn't matter. That is still considered work. So in that case, would you try to do like work-life balance in that moment? No, not really. The only time the work-life balance comes into play is when you have 2 opposing forces where you dislike what you do for work. So why don't we try to make you hate what you do for work less, and get you into a position or a phase where you like what you do for work more, you feel like you're growing more, you feel like you're learning more, and then you get into the fast lane career path, which allows you to grow quicker in your life, right? You have no passion. You're working overtime right now, and you don't feel like you're even appreciated for the amount of overtime that you do. You're not constantly learning new skills. You feel like you've outgrown your current drafting position, right? your hard work isn't appreciated, or you might even do drafting or estimation or something like that, which is monotonous every single day. But these are all the problems. Like, there's slow financial growth as well, right? You might get like a 2% pay rise every single year. It doesn't even cover inflation. And so then what's the fast lane career path? The fast lane career path is a job where work feels like a project, right? It's not easy. You don't go to work every single day thinking like, oh, I'm so happy. Like, but it feels fulfilling. It feels like a project. It feels like you want to do it, right? You find the work interesting, right? It's not something that you don't want to like open a bunch of emails and respond to a bunch of things that you don't want to do. You actually find it genuinely interesting. You only work overtime when you want to. And when you do work overtime, people are happy and people say thank you, right? And your hard work is appreciated. You're engaged in the whole construction process and engaged with stakeholders. You sharpen your technical skills well, and you also learn how to communicate well. Imagine a job where you can do these two things, right? Hard work is appreciated because you are working on driving a project outcome. It is very clear what you are doing for the project, and people are coming to you as the main guy for you to solve a specific phase or a specific section of the whole entire project, and you feel like you actually make a tangible outcome, right? Faster financial growth is you have the capacity to impact the systems in the company you work for. If you don't understand what this means, it's what I'm going to talk about next. And this is the whole process of learning BIM coordination. I'll actually give you an example of something which I did for the company which I work for, which allowed me to get paid 30% more, right? And it's a simple process and strategy that I implemented. And it's to do with this. I can do that because I'm in the fast lane career path. Because my financial growth and my promotions are to do with the systems that I implement and the value I provide for the company, not the time that I give to the company. That is the difference here between the slow lane and the fast lane career path, right? And so the reason you might feel like you dislike your job or you want to grow, you have the desire or the passion to move up in your career, is actually because subconsciously you understand the difference between these two career trajectories. So you know intuitively which one you're on right now, and you know if you're in the slow lane, you want to get to the fast lane. If you're in the fast lane, you're chilling right now, like you're fine. But if you're in the slow lane, this is probably the urge. This is probably the feeling that you've been having for the last couple of years, right? Like, I'm in the slow lane. I need to move to the fast lane. How do I even do it? How do I get there? You might think that BIM coordination and management is sort of like the way that you see that to be the way. And let me tell you the problem with the slow lane. And I'm going to tie this back into a real world example, which I'm going to tell you what allowed me to get paid 30% extra at work last year, actually, right? And when you're involved in the slow lane, the problems you're working on are very commoditized, like BIM modeling and drafting. The reason I say commoditized is because you can explain this task to someone on Fiverr and they can complete it after a few revisions, right? BIM modeling, BIM drafting using Revit. So you can literally go on Google, type in Fiverr, Revit modeling. You can pay them a specific amount of money. They work in like lower income countries so that they charge less money. And you can, a lot of the companies that I know in the industry, even the company that I work for, do a specific, like something similar where they leverage companies that have a low cost of living and that learn the skills and that can charge less. Not US companies, not Australian companies, but the companies that are lower in terms of like financial capacity and like GDP or whatever, and living standard is lower. And they get those people to do like the drafting and the BIM modeling and all that stuff. Because of this, it's very easy for you to lose your job when you're doing BIM modeling and drafting and that stuff, because that stuff used to be like the companies, like the countries like Australia, US, UK, like when Revit was coming out, they were learning all that stuff. It was like the new technology. It was expensive. That only worked for those sort of companies, right, in those countries. But then now it's becoming worldwide. So Revit is no longer something that's going to set you apart from everyone else. It's become the standard. And because of that, everyone worldwide knows how to use it. And because of that, we can leverage these companies to make more money, right? So you can tell there's a lot of companies who outsource their whole drafting and modeling side of things to countries that have cheaper labor. And it's very hard for you to add more value to the company, right? Think about you working at your current company. It's very hard for you to add more value to the company you work for because you only can get so productive. You're measured on your productivity, which has a limited upside. This is why we call it the slow lane, right? Because when you go to work, you have to produce a specific outcome. Okay, you have to model this level today, or you have to do estimation for like this amount of things. Your outcome is very clearly defined and measurable, okay? And so performance versus arousal. I know this is the wrong word, but this is what I found on Google. So this is like your performance versus not arousal, but like in terms of like your working, okay? So like how how much you can perform and get output done in your job, right? So when you are stimulated in terms of like you drink coffee, you have a lot of caffeine, you're really healthy, you like slept like 9 hours last night, like you're very mentally sharp, right? You are in the optimal arousal and optimal performance state. So this is like where you can get to. But if I told you, hey, you have to model the whole level 1 of a building tomorrow, you would say, okay, 8 hours, that's very hard, but I can do it. I'm going to go to sleep early. I'm going to wake up. I'm going to drink a coffee. I'm not going to eat until like 2 or 3 p.m. so that I don't get sleepy after I do it, so I can like do as much work as possible. I'm going to ignore all my emails until later. I'm going to tell my boss not to bother me because today I have to like focus on this one thing. And doing all of that, you can get a specific amount of work done, right? But you can't get more work than that. There's diminishing returns, okay? Because if I tell you, okay, now you have to model 4 levels in one day, there's no way it is humanly possible to even get to that stage to be able to model 4 levels. Impossible, because you're just a human, you're not a robot. You can only do so much with your mouse and your hands at a computer, right? And so if you're measured based on the slow lane, which is you're measured based on your ability to get a productive amount of work done, right? And that work is dependent on how much you can do with modeling, then you can only ever achieve maximum capacity at the ceiling. Like there's a ceiling there. This is what you feel like in your career. Like every single time you go to work, you feel like you get to somewhere over here, which is probably the sweet spot. Once in a while you have like 3 coffees or whatever and you can get up to here. And then you get a lot of work done, but then you go back down to here, right? And so you feel like the ceiling is over here, okay? And so why does the fast lane work? So that's the story. Let me juxtaposition this with the fast lane so you understand how this works. When you start going down the fast lane, which is to do with BIM coordination, the energy that you put into work changes because the way you are measured changes. This is the fundamental difference. When you're working the slow lane, you have to always work for the outcome. It's the productivity and the time that you're measured by. When you're working for the fast lane, the energy that you put into work changes because the only difference between the slow lane and the fast lane is that the fast lane career path, like the BIM coordinator, part of your job responsibility is for you to actually find better systems and implement them into your company. So the type of job which is a fast lane, which I'm saying is BIM coordinator and BIM manager, you actually get paid to implement a system that does the company good. Okay, you don't get paid to implement a system when you're working as a draftsperson up here. But when you're working as a BIM coordinator, if you can find some sort of BIM coordination tool, all right, something that integrates with the workflow that makes it 20% more efficient, now you quantifiably adjusted and quantifiably improved your company's performance and profitability by 20%. You can quantify that hands down 100% of the time. Okay? And so that is the difference, because when you're incentivized to actually work effectively and efficiently, the energy you put into work changes and you work in a way that actually impacts the company more, because they're not telling you sit there as a BIM coordinator or BIM manager and your job is to do this work. Your job is to manage everything, make sure everything is running smoothly and implement better systems to the company. If I gave you that job, of course your mind would start to think, just like the same question I asked, what would it take for you to make 100%? The percentage that you'll become a BIM coordinator. That's the time when you start to think about, okay, what's the path that you're going to take? But this is the fast lane, right? The fast lane works so well is because you get paid, and this becomes your responsibility to think about better outcomes and drive productivity and profitability for the company. This means that you are no longer measured on your productivity as we saw in the previous image. It's no longer capped. It's now measured on your ability to increase profit and systems for the company you're working for. So your ability for you to create systems is uncapped, because if you implement a single system, it improves productivity by 10%, like I said before, you're generating a lifelong upside, which is worth millions and millions of dollars for the company, because you're leveraged, right? Because you're now using the company to improve. You're not using yourself to improve the company. Do you know what I mean? Because you're not just modeling one level. Now you're implementing a system that impacts everyone. Okay, that's why managers get paid so much. So it's very easy to ask for a 10% raise on your salary when you've made 10% increase in profitability for the whole multi-million-dollar company. Okay, 10% of $1 million is a very large number. If you get 10% of your salary increase, it's going to be a very small number in comparison to that. It's harder to quantify, but this is the best graph that I can make for you. And your value is measured by the systems implemented rather than the productivity and the immediate deliverables, okay? So you have a specific value you give to the company, okay? You're managing things, you're seeing how things are going, you're creating clashes, you're resolving things, you're jumping on meetings. But all of a sudden, one day you implement this brand new technology into the company that integrates with the existing technology and saves you 10 hours of work a week, okay? What happens now? You save 10 hours of work a week, but then everyone in the company starts to implement this in the future. And every single time we have a project, we now save 10 hours a week for the duration of that project, okay? So if you get paid $100 an hour, I'm just gonna make this $100 so it's very simple, but people don't get paid that much. $100 an hour for 10 hours, right? What is that? Like $1,000. If you then multiply that by 52 weeks, $1,000 by 52, what is that? 52,000, right? So you've quantifiably increased 52,000 per year per one project. So if you're doing like 10 projects in that company per year, 52,000 multiplied by 10 is, my math is really bad, I'm doing this under pressure, but what is it, like 500,000, right? So you've increased the company's profitability by 500,000 by saving 10 hours of work a week by implementing one system. If you increase the company's profitability by 500,000, then you are eligible to get a $100,000 or $150,000 increase in or raise, okay? Because it's very easy. You can go and you can justify this to your boss. And so if you work in a role where that is the way that you grow, right? You're at a specific level, you implement a system, now your value is permanently raised because forever they will use your system. Forever you can use your system. Forever you save time, right? And so now your value goes up here. And this is the whole situation with the fast lane and why it's so much better than the slow lane. The fundamental difference is in the slow lane, you get measured based on the amount of hours that you get put into work, and you can only get so aroused as to the point where you work really efficiently by drinking coffee and sleeping well and managing your stress. But over here, this is not really dependent on how much work and productivity you get done, because you have consistent and constant things to do every single day, like replying to emails and stuff. But once you implement a few systems into your company, it's very easy for you to continue growing, right? And continue going up. So those are like the two different phases. And this is what I've explained over here, right? And so in the fast lane, you're doing your daily tasks, which are very dynamic, but it doesn't feel like work. But then you're thinking about experimenting with new systems, which you can implement and make your workday a little bit more efficient. And you make your workday efficient, it helps other people as well, it helps the company, right? And once I saw my career as a path of slow lane versus fast lane, it was impossible for me to take the slow lane because I knew that I would never get the outcome that I wanted to if I continued that over the next few years, right? Like past 5 years. A lot of my clients feel the exact same towards their careers. They realize that they were guaranteed to not get what they wanted if they went down the path of architecture and BIM modeling. And the only option was them to learn the skills of BIM coordination and BIM management so that they can get into the easiest possible, fastest lane career path, which will allow them to exponentially grow in their career and actually be in a position where they're no longer sitting with this stuff. They're sitting as a BIM coordinator with this stuff, because your day is very dynamic as a BIM coordinator. If you want to know like the step-by-step BIM coordination strategy, I have a video somewhere you can go. It's like the thumbnail title says real world examples. If you just go to one of my videos, and I actually explain like the whole BIM coordination process, like if you want to go more in depth for that, okay? But finish this video first because this is super important, because I'm about to get to the instructions now, okay? So the reason that, and also I promised you that I was going to tell you why learning BIM was so effective at moving me into the fast lane. I'm actually going to give you an example of how I actually implemented a system for my company, which resulted in a permanent boost in the company's profitability and allowed me to get compensated as well. So I'm going to give you an example why BIM coordination was actually the fast lane. So when I started working for the company that I work for, and I become BIM coordinator, and I learned everything right within that 6-month period, I actually learned a very basic form of coordination, which is coordinating with the Autodesk Construction Cloud. Okay, so you can think of it as just like the standard way that people coordinate. Like you coordinate with the Autodesk Construction Cloud. But after like some time, after around like a year of working as a BIM coordinator, I realized just by looking at YouTube and talking to other BIM coordinators, I realized there's actually an easier way, because one day one guy asked me like, why are you creating all your clashes manually? Like, you seem to be going to BIM 360 and creating all these clashes manually. Like, why are you doing that? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, creating, like, this is how you meant to do it. Like, BIM 360 doesn't do it automatically. And then they said, no, like, you can do it in Navisworks. I'm like, no, Navisworks is a like a local software. It's not something that you can do on the cloud. And they said, yeah, you can. It's made by Autodesk, so you can link both of them together, and you can actually do the automated clash detection on Navisworks, and you can send them all to the cloud, and they're both the same model because they link together. And I was like, oh my God, okay. So I went and I installed the add-in for Navisworks, right? I Googled all this and I found out there's instructions on the internet. And I did a lot of trial and error over like a few weeks trying to make this stuff work, because it's really hard when no one's showing you how to do this and you're trying to figure this out for yourself. But that's the job. That's part of the job, right? I'm trying to get from here to here. So I'm trying to think and find ways to make the company more effective. And so I implement this strategy with Navisworks, with ACC, that instead of making clashes manually, I would have to make 50 clashes manually and write the description and everything. I can instantly, with one button, create 50 clashes automatically, not miss anything, and send it all to BIM 360 and create them as issues, right? And you're probably thinking like, how did you not know? How stupid could you be to not know something that simple? And the thing is, sometimes you just don't know, because the way that you learn things is like, you learn something and you think that's the best you can do. And you don't think that you can find better solutions, but you can find better solutions because things always improve. And so the reason I say this story is because I did that and I saved myself 10, 15 hours a week of work, because now I save myself 10, 15 hours of work a week because I'm no longer creating those manual clashes. I'm doing it with Navisworks and sending it to the ACC. This is actually the exact same, just so you know, this is the exact same strategy that I show you in my school community. Like, my whole course goes through like Navisworks, and it goes through how to run the clash detection, and then how to do the ACC BIM coordination, like BIM 360 integration, so you can do it with BIM 360 as well, right? And learn how to do everything. But what I put in that course was actually the exact same thing that I learned, I implemented to my company, and I had incredible success with it. And I saved myself 10, 15 hours a week. And with that 10, 15 hours, what do? I start to learn the next skill set, which is okay, now I have time. I can start to learn how to make the company more money with other things. I can start to learn, how do I implement AI into the company? How do I learn project management? How do I grow more, right? I have this capacity, because when you implement technology and you're smart with it, because AI is such a big thing now, if you're smart with it, you can start to find ways to shift and work less, and with that time, save the time, and you can start to gain more skills and grow exponentially like that. And so that's an example of something that I did that allowed me to, it's very simple, because you can then justify exactly like how much you're saving the company money. Go to your boss, go to the owner, and you can ask for more money, because it's very simple when you do something like that. Right, and so that's like that's why the fast lane is so good, is you can justify how much money you're bringing into the company, and as a result, you can get raises. So that's just like a quick example of me explaining why the fast lane is so effective. And what I want to do now is reveal to you this 3-phase system that you can implement, so you can copy my success. And if you've made it this far in the video, congratulations, like, you are better than 99% of people, because you're actually able to not click off and have like a really long attention span. This is the best part of the video, which I'm about to reveal to you this whole roadmap, so you understand this, right? And this is the actual roadmap that I custom tailor to my clients when they get started with the BIM training, with me personally. So if you click this, you can actually go to this, which is what I showed you, right? There's phase A, right? Phase A. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 2 goes on for a while, phase 3, okay? So there's 3 phases with the foundational phase. And the first foundational phase is Revit Foundations. This is probably where you're at, but we want to make sure that you actually know, and the reason I have this phase is because I work with some people that haven't even worked in the industry, but I want to make sure that they know Revit, right? And the first phase is to make sure that you know Revit, and you can actually demonstrate to your employer through the Revit Fundamentals course and the complete office building course, which I have on my school group over here, Revit Fundamentals, office building course, right? With those 2 things, we make sure that you're able to model something that looks like this, or an office building that looks similar to this, and create a construction set of documents. Like, you should be able to create a construction set of documents with section views, know how to set up the grid lines with the proper dimensioning, with the details, right? With the floor plans, with the sections, right? And with the elevations. You should know how to create a house that looks something similar to this on Revit, right? You should know how to render that stuff. And so this is phase A, which is the foundation, which is understanding Revit. Because if you understand Revit, then you know how to, like, that is the foundation of BIM. You can't just become a BIM coordinator or BIM manager without knowing how to use Revit, right? Because you're going to have to help other people and help the BIM modelers learn how to use Revit, help them set things up and troubleshoot things. So you need to know how to do that. You don't need to become a master. You need to have a surface level understanding, right? The next thing, phase 1, this is what you're here for. This, okay, so there's three things, right? Now let's talk about phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. This is to do with BIM coordination, okay? This is to do with BIM coordination. So with BIM coordination, you need to understand what you're looking at, then you need to learn the technical skills, then you need to know how to market yourself. Those are the 3 phases. First of all, I said you need to understand what you're looking at. This means you have to develop your mindset like a BIM coordinator. I'm not talking mindset as in like I'm going to become a BIM coordinator. I'm talking mindset as in when you look, the difference between you and someone that has 10 years of industry experience, like my boss that I sat next to for 8 months, like 6 months, learning everything from him so I could become a BIM coordinator. What I learned from him wasn't even the technical programs like Navisworks or ACC or Celibri. What I learned from him was how to see a model like a BIM coordinator. If you look at a model and you don't understand how to do MEP services coordination, if you look at a model and you're confused about all this stuff, like you look at this, you don't understand what these different pipes are. Is it mechanical? Is it hydraulics? Is it fire? If you look at over this, you don't understand what the different colors of the ducts are. If you look at this, you don't understand what this little square box is. You don't understand what is resolvable on site, what is not resolvable on site, what is the detail, what is the process behind construction when we go on site. If you don't understand those foundations, how are you even expecting to see a model and coordinate it properly just because you know the technical skills, right? It's impossible. So it's like knowing how to use a scissor, but then, oh no, that's not a good analogy. Okay, so don't worry about that. But the whole point of phase 1 is to understand how to actually theoretically do BIM coordination. So we have BIM fundamentals, the MEP masterclass, and how to, like, the hierarchy. The MEP masterclass is the main thing. Like, you need to understand the mechanical, electrical, plumbing, and fire services. And you need to understand when you look at a model, what do you even see? Okay, what are air handling units? What are fan coil units? What are the different fans? What are the different colors you see on screen over here, right? What are the requirements for the heights so you don't hit your head? What are the head height clearance heights for duct work, for pipe work? What are the different plant rooms? How do we coordinate in a plant room? What do we even look at when we look at a plant room, right? What does it mean to have access space? Do we need access space above, below, on the sides? Like, all these different questions. If you don't even understand the MEP services, like mechanical, electrical, plumbing, hydraulics, fire, there's no way you're going to be able to look. When you then do like a Navisworks clash detection, there's no way you're going to be able to look at that model and actually understand what's going on and who to assign the clashes to. When you understand who you're going to assign those clashes to, that's when you're going to understand, okay, once you understand what even you're looking at by looking at the model, like mechanical, electrical, plumbing services, then you understand who to assign the clashes to. If you don't even understand what you're looking at, how are you going to know who to assign the clashes to? Okay, and this is a very common thing which prevents you from getting the BIM coordination role, is because you have no confidence as well, because you don't know the actual process. You might learn the skill of like Navisworks, but you don't know, like, when you look at a coordination, like, you've never done it, right? Oh, I've never done it. So I might know Navisworks, but they might tell me in the industry to go do it, right? If I get a job accidentally all of a sudden, I end up getting a job because I know Navisworks. When you actually go to do it, you're going to be caught because you don't know how to run a meeting, you don't know what to talk about, you don't know what's going to move, you don't know what has to stay, right? All these different things. And so the MEP masterclass is so important because this gives you the foundational knowledge of understanding how to think like a coordinator. When you look at the ceiling space, the BIM coordination how-to is really important because you understand how to actually coordinate. What is the hierarchy? What is a major clash? What is a minor clash? What are we going to coordinate on site? How to do precast panel coordination, the reflected ceiling panel coordination. Do we do it on BIM 360? Do we do it on a PDF, right? Do we do it with Revit, with linked views? Like, how do we do plan room access coordination? How do we do MEP services coordination? So you need to understand this whole process, right? How to do it. Also, when you do it, like, what even is it? You probably don't even know what it is right now. You need to understand BIM fundamentals, which is like the different workflows. We have open BIM, we have closed BIM, we have the common data environment, we have like these different level of detail standards, we have the BIM execution plan, you have all these different things. If you don't understand what those things are, then there's no way that you're going to be able to create one of these and do these things effectively according to the correct standards when you actually start to work. So once you develop your mindset like this, which is phase one, understanding the workflow, understanding the MEP services, understanding the hierarchy of how to coordinate, right? And the nuances between that. And then it's interesting because I created this today in my program. I think it's in the BIM coordination how-to section. I actually have a coordination workbook which all my clients go through that has just dozens and dozens of clashes if this loads, and you actually can go through this and you can actually, it's a live example of like, okay, these are actual clashes in actual buildings. Tell me how we're going to move these things so that you actually understand how to do this whole clash detection process. And once you do this, we have a call just to figure out if you actually did this correctly and if you know how to think like a BIM coordinator. So we validate this as well, me and you together on a call, right? And so you've learned all this, you've done a theoretical simulation of a clash detection. Okay, you're good now. The next phase is actually, now what you think BIM coordination is so far is actually learning the programs. And this is why you probably thought, okay, BIM coordination is Navisworks. No, this is just one section of it. You need to learn the programs now that you understood how to actually do, like how to actually see things as a BIM coordinator. So in this instance, now you have to get good at ACC BIM coordination. Like you have to understand how to set up something on the ACC, how to create the federated model, right? How to create the views, how to separate out the different views and different levels, right? How to integrate Navisworks with ACC, how to do Navisworks effectively by itself, right? How to integrate them together. Understand how to export to IFC and OpenBIM. If we're dealing with people that aren't using Revit, right? Some people might use ArchiCAD or Tekla, which happens very often because we're in a phase of this world where we're using OpenBIM, right? For BIM, for like BIM coordination. They use this thing called IFC files. So you need to understand how to integrate those IFC files correctly with the correct data into this whole coordination process with ACC or Navisworks. And then also how to check models. Like if you're using something, if you're in the Netherlands or some European countries, like I work with a few people from Europe, they use more open BIM methodologies. So you need to learn IFC, open BIM as well as Celibri. But if you work in like US, UK, Australia, a lot of the rest of my clients are from there. We use Navisworks and ACC, right? So you can also implement Celibri, which is what I'm learning to implement to my current company right now, which is like a model checking software, which is going to make it even better. And just a heads up, that's going to allow me to get another raise because I'm actually implementing something that's going to drive efficiency for the company, save them money by preventing like issues in the model and ensuring quality compliance, right? Saving a few hours here and there. So that's like another example of where you can start to grow quickly in your career. But learning these programs is phase two. This is what you thought learning like BIM coordination was so far, but this is only phase two. Okay? Phase one is you need to understand how to think so that when you go to a meeting or like an interview, you actually know how to talk to them, and you can tell them, hey, I know these things. Like when you talk to me about like plant room access coordination or precast panel or RCP coordination, I actually understand what that even means, right? So after phase two, the last phase over here is actually phase three, the most important phase. And this is what you're also missing because you thought that like everything to do with just learning Navisworks or ACC. Phase three is acquisition mastery. Like what's the point of learning these two things, right? Going through phase one and phase two, if we can't actually even get an interview in the first place. So we have to strategically place ourselves and position ourselves in the industry so we're actually getting these interviews. People are looking at our resumes, our cover letters, and our portfolio, and they're thinking, oh, this guy is actually really good. I want to give him a chance. Like how did Arushi, without any experience, how was she able to she actually posted over here that she's feeling grateful that she got an offer. How was she able to make this transformation into a brand new BIM coordination company without having any experience in the past. It's because we were able to position her in a way that when employees look at her portfolio and they look at her CV, they think, oh, okay, this person's interesting. She has some good experience, and she also has done ACC. She has done Revit. It's very obvious. Her CV is like really concise and it makes sense, and it's a good experience for me to read that as well. Let's get her in for an interview and let's see what she has, right? And you don't need to even have done BIM coordination in the past if you can showcase on your CV that you know how to do it. That's like the most important thing. So portfolio cheat codes and the CV, the cover letter, like what I do with my clients is we go through one-on-one. We have multiple one-on-one calls where we break down their CV to make sure that their CV looks really nice and it's following my my framework of actionable step, the thing you did with the technical jargon, and the outcome, right? And so that's like the strategy that we use for our CV. Like we're using refining, integrates, utilizing, collaborate, communicating, preparing, demonstrate, utilizing. Like they're all actionable words. Like the first word, the second word, the middle or the bulk of that sentence is like the programs that they use and what they were doing. And then the end of the sentence with the CV is always the outcome that they achieved. So you're taking action on a specific program to achieve a specific outcome. And if you can do that for your whole CV and make your CV look streamlined like this with single letters, single like lines as much as possible for bullet points, right? And you can make it look nice like this with no faces, right? It looks like this, one line, not split in the center, and you have everything with bolded and then not bolded, bolded, not bolded. This is a very nice experience for me to go through and view. This is how I get everyone to do their CV, and this is 100% of the time it has worked, right? And then we have our portfolio, which you want to make sure that you're showing. There's no point of learning Revit over here if you don't show that you know it in your CV. So we want to take these pictures, we want to take these images showing that we know how to do our floor plans, right? Our detail views, and we know how to do our renders. And we want to put it on our portfolio. We want our portfolio to look like this, showcasing the outside. Okay, this guy knows how to render. Did this guy do this on Revit? Okay, that's pretty cool, right? Okay, he knows how to do like an interior design really well. You can actually see more of this over here. This is like one of the projects that my clients worked on, that we worked on together for him to practice Revit. Over here, you can see that just like the house looks nice, the render looks nice. This is the exact floor plan that one of my clients, Amir, has used. I didn't even mention him in the thing, but this is what he's using these days in order to develop his CV in a way so that employees will look at it and think like, okay, this guy's really good at Revit. It seems like he knows how to do renders. He's doing residential houses. He knows how to do like details over here, right? He knows how to do a roof plan. He knows how to do a roof plan there. This is like a second story, right? He knows how to do like section views or like elevation views. This looks really professional. He's done in like a nice title block. Like when you see this, 100%, it is very obvious that this guy knows how to use Revit really well. And if I was in like a residential building, like company where I was like, okay, I'm building houses, 100%, I would hire this guy, because this guy definitely knows what he's doing here, right? So once you go through that, then what you want to do is showcase that you know like BIM coordination. So we go through this like project that we work on with my clients, where we show them that we know how to create a federated model like this. We show them that we know how to set up the project, right, on the Autodesk Construction Cloud. We show them that we know how to set up the design collaboration process. We show them that we know how to set up the coordination space. These are all things that you'll learn. Don't stress about it now. But this is what you learn when you go through the ACC course. Going through like the different hierarchy, being able to set up the coordination space over here. We show them that we know how to resolve clashes. So we're actually putting examples here and explanations why clashes have to move. And this is just a small snippet of the portfolio. This is not the whole portfolio. But imagine you are an employer and you went through this stuff. The CV looked like this. It was very clear that you knew how to use Revit to a very high level over here, very clear. Then it's very clear that you know how to do clash detection on ACC, set it up, design collaboration and everything. You have a good CV, so you're good at communication. You have a good portfolio. You know how to do Revit, like you know how to do renders, and you know how to do floor plans, and you know how to do section views, and you're good at detailing. It seems like you're good at architecture, and you're also good at like Revit coordination, design collaboration, ACC. You can do another one for Navisworks similar to this. This is how we communicate that we know, okay? This is the 3 phases. And the thing is, you might think, okay, this phase 2 is shown here. Okay, that's how it works. Phase 2, which is like, remember what phase 2 is. Phase 2 is, if we go to this document over here, this is like learning ACC. So the objective is to start your trial with the ACC, mastering design collaboration, model coordination, mastering Navisworks, understanding IFC and Open BIM, understanding Celebri, like all the programs, right? So phase 2 is what we show here, okay? The programs. Phase A is what we show here, showing the Revit mastery, okay? And then phase 1, okay, is we sort of show it here with the clashes, but phase 1 is what allows you to get the job when you go to the interview, okay? So phase A and phase 2 allows you to develop phase 3, which is then we apply for jobs, we get interviews, but a lot of people after they get interviews, and if they just know Navisworks, they get stuck. They can't get into a BIM coordinator position, okay? The way you get into a BIM coordinator position is by going through phase 1. Remember what phase 1 was? Understanding the mindset. You can actually look at things and see things and clash clearly. So if someone was to give you in an interview, they would ask you questions about how you would do specific clashes and resolve specific things. You understand and you're able to communicate them in a way that makes them confident about your strategy and about your approach. That is what allows you to get the job. And if you can put this on your portfolio, saying like a little bit more, saying that you know how to do phase 1 with the precast panel, RCP coordination, plan of access, MEP services, and you clearly define that in the next coming pages over here, it becomes so clear that you're able to make this transition, right? So this is it. This is it. Phase A is probably where you're at right now. You probably have a few projects that you've got under your belt as a Revit modeler. You have to do phase 1, which is understanding like everything to do with the construction services and the different workflows with BIM and the coordination hierarchy and how to see things. Do it with like 50, 60 clashes as a test. Then phase 2 is where you actually learn the coordination program with the actual project that we do together, and then we implement all the knowledge that we learned here and we test it to see if we actually know how to do it properly here. Phase 3 is where we actually go and showcase that, hey, we've actually done this. And there's been so many times that my clients have actually done this and they haven't done coordination in their previous role, but they have done coordination with me and they showcase it on their portfolio like this. And then when they get asked in the interviews, they say, oh, I actually haven't done it before, but it's like, here is the evidence that I know how to do it. And I was just really passionate about the ACC and Navisworks and learning BIM coordination, and that's the reason that I took initiative to learn this. I bought a course and I did this. Then a lot of the employers said like, oh, that's actually really good that you've taken the initiative and you've actually wanted to learn this. And that actually worked more beneficial than someone that was a BIM coordinator and wanted to get that job and applied. Because like a lot of companies want people that are going to grow with the company. They're going to grow quickly, be able to adapt to change, are forward thinkers, right? So when they see someone that has a portfolio like this, has experience with Revit a few years in the industry, but has a portfolio like this and they learned it by themselves because of their passion, it's very obvious that like even you would want to hire someone like that, which is like they're hungry, they want to learn, they want to grow, right? And then you become a really good fit for that company and then you move into the fast lane. And so that's the whole objective behind this, from phase A all the way to phase 3. I hope this helped. I'll link this down below, this Google Doc, if you want to go through anything, if you want to go through my whole process. If you have any questions, message me. I want you to message me the word coordination. All right, I want you to message me the word coordination on Instagram. And if you message me the word coordination on Instagram, I can send you over some more details about how this whole process works. If you think this is something that you potentially could see like value in for you to do, you think you're suitable, you think you're at the phase where you have like a few projects under your belt, or maybe like you're just so ambitious that you want to learn all these things at once, but you think that you're in a good foundational position where going through all of this that I just explained would 100%, you are so confident that you have the drive that if I gave you this whole process and I worked with you for the next couple of months, you would be able to make this transition and you'd be able to grow into that coordination role. If you have the confidence, message me the word coordination and we can have a chat and I can see if there's something that I can send you over some details and see if that's something that you're interested in, right? Yeah. Hope this helped. See you guys later.